Hey guys, once again, welcome back. Today we have the new Malice announcement, and I've seen the new Decade video. Go check that out if you have not seen it already. And he also pointed to the fact that we are also getting the Malice P March here, as well as Malice in the mirror. So I wanted to quickly think about with you together what a potential Malice list could look like, what are important cards that you could put in this deck, what maybe not to put in, and this is what I want to talk about in this video. So we now know that we're also getting the March here, as well as Malice in the mirror. So the most important one is definitely March here as an extender, because she can, in the main phase, in the opponent's main phase or your main phase, she can basically banish a Malice card from the graveyard or the hand to special summon herself. So this gives you another body, but also gives you the ability to either banish one of your Malice boss monsters on opponent's turn or on your turn, or one of your base monsters to create another body, which is super important, and this definitely changes up a lot. We are obviously missing the Adignista support, but this is not so bad. I was expecting only the first wave to come, but we are getting the second wave as well. Now Malice will definitely be the best deck in the game. It was the same as before. Even with the first support wave, this would have been the best deck in the game, but now it's pretty sure, and I think this is something, or a list that we could play. We obviously have to try different things. So we have the Nibiru here, so let's talk non-engine. We have the Nibiru here, which I think makes sense. The Adignista support gives the Malice deck a few lines through Nibiru, but Nibiru will still hit the deck. There are some options, there are some lines under Nibiru, but those are not really lines that basically disenable Nibiru in the case that you can negate him, but more that you can already set up a lot of the stuff that you wanted to set up, and that you're basically fine after a Nibiru. So for example, having your GVC 06 on the field, which can revive a Malice monster on your opponent's turn. You can revive the Whitebinder. She can banish 3 from either your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. And then you can banish, for example, your boss monster. She will then come back to the field. You can banish your Red Ransom. She will produce a lot of bodies on the field. And you can also banish your base monster, the White Rabbit, which can then set the MTPO7, which is a trap that you can use on your opponent's turn to banish non-targeting a card on the field. So there are a lot of disruptions that you can get via one GVC06, and if you can manage to get to your Whitebinder, use Whitebinder's effect, because she can set one trap from the graveyard or the deck directly to the field. If you can manage to set the GVC06, or you can manage to get the Whitebinder in the graveyard, or maybe, I don't know, the Red Ransom or the Hard Scriptor and a March here, this would be the same thing, because she can obviously also banish the Whitebinder or any of the other ones on your opponent's turn to basically enable plays. So this is what playing through Nibiru basically means with this deck, not that you can like negate the Nibiru. And this is one thing that is really important to point out. We have the Appaloosa, which is really nice. This will be a good endpot piece, making this of one of our link 3 bodies, and then another body to have a 2 material Appaloosa, very strong. But we will not be able to make the Appaloosa before 5 summons. Never really, actually. So there is no line, at least that I can think of right now, that will be able to make this Appaloosa before 5 summons. So yeah, you can't really play around it by using the Appaloosa, but you will obviously make your endboard way better with her. So then we have the Bystials here, which basically function as extenders. If you're not aware, or the Malice base monsters, at least the 3 here, the Chessy Cat, the White Rabbit and the Dormouse, if you banish them, then you can resummon them from the banishment to your field once per turn. And yeah, you can obviously use your Bystials, because all of them are dark, to target them, banish them, and then create an additional body through them coming back. This is why the Bystials are super good in this deck. I think playing 3 might be the way to go here. You can also in some cases banish your opponent's Malice monster. So for example, one of the very prominent cards in this deck often being used is Splash Mage, targeting a dark monster. And if they target a Malice card that has already been banished, let's say for example White Rabbit has already been banished in their turn, then you target the White Rabbit that they target with the Splash Mage, then obviously it won't come back because it already came back, and then your opponent might be left without enough bodies to go into the link 3 Malice boss monsters, let's call them. And then we have the March here. If you banish her, then she can target a Malice monster in the banishment and add it to the hand. So she can basically add herself. And note here that you always have to pay life points. With the base monsters, you will need to pay 300 life points to revive. And with the boss monsters, you will need to pay 900 life points to revive them from the banishment. So these are the base monsters. And now that we know that we have the March here, there's definitely something to talk about when it comes to the White Rabbit, which is also a starter. And this trap here, which which is TB11. If we would not have gotten the March Hare, then you would definitely play the TB11, but now with the March Hare you can also not play the TB11, which means you have one less brick, because now with the March Hare, the White Rabbit on its own is still combo, because you can go White Rabbit into MTP. MTP can then banish the White Rabbit to be activated this turn to add a Malice monster to the hand. You have already used up your normal summon, but the March Hare can extend here, because then you can just go, the White Rabbit will basically return to the field because she was banished. Then you can make, I don't know, a Link Decoder or a Link Uribo out of her, and then you can use your March Hare to banish her from the graveyard, and then you have 2 bodies which you can use to go into a Splash Mage, reviving one, and then you have 3 bodies, which means now you are into your Malice monsters. Either a White Binder or a Red Ransom will continue your combo. This is in some case a bit worse, so the lines are a bit better with the TB11, but I think now that we have the March Hare, which we definitely want to play at 3, we don't need TB11, so this is definitely something that we could cut here. Obviously Ash Blossom and then Maxi, we want to play this. Gold Sarcophagus is another really great starter or extender, so let's say you normal summon your Dormouse, this gets impermed, and then, I don't know, you have a Chessy Cat in your hand, which then you can't normal summon. Too bad, but you can go Gold Sarcophagus, banish, I don't know, a White Rabbit or another Chessy or maybe a March Hare to continue your plays. Very, very good. Also a stronger start than the Malice in Underground, because if you start with the Gold Sarcophagus, even though the field spell Malice in Underground and Gold Sarcophagus basically do the same thing, both banish a card, but if you start with the Gold Sarcophagus, then later on in the combo you still have your Malice in Underground, whereas if you start with Malice in Underground, you won't have a Gold Sarcophagus because you don't get the Gold Sarcophagus through the basic line. So definitely playing this at 2. Then I have a Talents in here, we can switch this out for something like a Lure here, for example. Then triple Malice in Underground, another starter, because you banish one of your Malice base monsters, most likely the Dormouse, then start your plays from there. I think Kolpa is very important here, because you will obviously face a lot of Malice players. Kolpa is great against this, and Crossout I think makes a lot of sense, because not only because of the non-engine, but also because of the engine. Once again, I think you will face a lot of Malice opponents, and you can just use your Crossout to, for example, cross out their Dormouse or something, which not only negates the Dormouse on the field, but would also negate the Dormouse's effect to come back to the field when being banished. So I think Crossout is a very good option, especially at the start of this journey, the Malice journey basically. Then we have Malice in the Mirror, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, banish one Malice monster from your hand or face-up field, and if you do, negate the targeted monster's effect. This is great because sometimes you had like the field spell in the hand, and if you're not aware, the Red Ransom can on summon basically add a Malice spell to the hand. This was only the field spell before, so if you already had the field spell, then this was basically a bit useless, but now you can basically add this additional negation. Also, if this card gets banished, you can banish another Malice card from the graveyard, either a trap, a spell, or a monster, and then you can add to your hand one of the types basically. So if you banish a monster, you can add a monster. If you banish a spell, you can add a spell. If you banish a trap, you can add a trap. So this is very nice, banishing a monster that can then maybe be resummoned because it was banished, to maybe add a March Hare to continue your plays. March Hare is our extender here when it comes to the base monsters. March Hare basically being like a Bystial somehow. So Bystials would have been more important without the March Hare here. And yeah, Malice in the Mirror, the fact that we have this is very nice. Play this at 1. Then we have all the traps here. Once again, I think TB11 will be cut. You can also play without the GVC06 because we have March Hare, because you can also banish the White Binder from the graveyard, which normally we wanted to revive this with the GVC. I think in most lines or most packages you will still play this. And then we have the banishment also add to the hand, trap the Malice MTP07. And if you're not aware, all of these have basically bonus effects if you control a Malice Link monster. So for example, if you control a Malice Link monster with the GVC, you gain life points equal to the attack of the monster being summoned. If you have a Malice Link monster on the field when MTP resolves, you will non-target banish. And if the TB11 resolves, actually this is not with Link monsters, or is it? Can special summon for the rest of this turn. Now this actually has no Link monster extra effect, so don't mind me here. And then we are playing the Infinite Permanences. Very nice to stop something like a Dormouse, stop their starters. And then we can also play the Dominus Impulse, which we definitely want to play. This is a very, very strong card against Malice, where you can sometimes just negate their Malice monsters from coming back to the field, thereby basically saying, okay, you won't get the bodies that you need to continue your plays, and this is why we definitely want to play the Dominus impulse at 3. And then for the extra deck, there's different things we can do right here. We obviously play the Malice base monsters. We need SP Little Knight. We need the Splash Mage. We have the Haggard Lizardos, which is a nice card. We will see whether we will play this in the build. We might play it, we might not play it. We can make this with 2 bodies, and then we can banish a monster for cost from the graveyard, which is nice because this can't be imperm then. So you can make, I don't know, let's say if a Dormouse and a White Rabbit, you go into your Haggard Lizardos, and then you banish, I don't know, the Dormouse. Dormouse can come back, and then you have link 3 bodies to continue your Malice plays. This is why the Lizardos is kind of nice. We will see whether we will play this in the beginning. Every list was playing this. Then with the Adignista support and the new second wave of Malice, nobody was playing this anymore, so we will have to see. You also have a Link Spider that you can use to extend through Nip. So if they give you the Nip token, then you can basically turn the Nip token into the Link Spider. And if you then can create another body, you can, for example, go into Splash Mage, revive something, and then continue your Malice plays. We have Lingoribo, which can, especially in the mirror, be very nice because this negates traps. So you can negate the opponent's Malice traps, also something like the Impulse. Link Decoder is very important. You can make Link Decoder out of one of your Malice monsters, summon one of your Link 3s, and then get this additional body back, which is very, very good. And then we can take a look at, we have the Appaloosa, obviously. Access code is insane in this deck because you go access code, you can just use any of your Link 3 Malice monsters, add an additional normal body to it, and then you have access code. And access code obviously can banish Link monsters from your graveyard, so you banish any of these, then they will come back. And you can destroy something with the access code talker. So after you have activated Dormouse, which also gives every Malice monster 600 attack points push for the turn, an access code talker into banishing either the Red Ransom, the White Binder, or the Hard Scriptor will always be game. The access code talker with 5/3 plus one of these monsters here with the 600 push is 8000 damage, so it's very easy to finish a game with Malice. Then we have something like the Firewall Dragon, which can be part of your end board, which if he is co-linked, not hard to make. Basically, you can bounce something, and then we can either play the Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, which can send to the gate to the grave the Enigmaster Packbit, and also something like the I forgot the Cyber's Desave Wurm, which is this card here. You would definitely add both of them to the deck. Then we might cut something like, I don't know, the Topological Bomber Dragon. This is something we would also play. Yeah, you would play this package here where you send on your turn the Desave Wurm, which basically is a spell trap negate, and then on your opponent's turn you can send something like Packbit, which can place a monster in the spell trap zone, which I think is very nice because getting your opponents or denying your Malice opponent bodies is very important, and that basically means that they can't make their plays happen. So we either play this package with the Dark Fluid, Desave Worm, and Packbit. You could also play Topological Bomber Dragon. This is something that came up in the TCG and is being played right now, where this in the extra monster zone, if you summon something in the main monster zone via, for example, your GVC or your March Hare, then you can blow up the entire monster zone, which is very effective because, once again, against Malice, it is super important to keep them off bodies. So if, for example, your Malice opponent has 2 Malice bodies and they want to start to play with Splash Mage or with the Lizardos into the Link 3 bodies, then destroying their bodies is very, very important. But we will see how we will manage this. Other cards that you could play are Dimension Shifter. This is at 1, and I think it doesn't really make a lot of sense since you will play a lot of Malice Mirrors, and obviously there it isn't great, and we have it at 1, so I don't know, I wouldn't play the Shifter. Lancia is obviously the best counter to Malice because for the entire turn no cards can be banished. We will see, especially at the beginning of the pack coming out, it might make sense to play this at 3 in your main deck because you will face a lot of Malice, and this is basically a turn skip for Malice. Super impactful. If, for example, you go first and have this in your hand, then it's basically game over for your opponent. If your opponent goes first and is Malice and you throw this Lancia, then he will have to pass the turn. It's so strong. Then we can play Fuvolos if we wanted to. In the beginning we were playing Dotscaper. This is something you could send via your Red Ransom, and then because this was banished it came back. But now that we have the March Hare, I think it makes more sense not to play it. We don't really need it. Dark is something that I would definitely consider. It needs to be seen where we have space for this, because if you play a lot of Malice Mirrors, obviously you can use your Dark to revive their Malice monsters and then go into one of your Link 3s. You can also revive their, only we have to revive in defense position, right? Let me quickly check if this special summon to zone this. Oh, you don't have to. Okay, so You can also revive the Malice Link monsters from your opponent, and if this thing gets destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can add one of your Malice base monsters to the hand. So the Dark is really nice, and I think in a world where you play a lot of Malice mirrors, you definitely want to have this. Masquerena is an option here, but our extra deck is kind of tight, especially with this package here. And then you can play Allure, for example, cutting out your triple tactics. I think you don't really need Allure. Obviously, you can banish every Malice monster and then they come back, which is great. You also have the Bystials. So there are a lot of dark bodies in here, but we also have some other types, basically. I don't think the Allure is needed because now we have the Marcher. Without the Marcher, I think we would have played Allure for sure, just to be more consistent. At this point, I don't think we need it. Metaltronus is also an interesting card. You basically target a card and then you summon from your extra deck or from your deck a monster that has either, so it has basically two things, either the same type, the same attribute, or the same attack, and then you negate the opponent's targeted monster. Or if you summon the same monster, you can banish both and negate them. So for example, you can, if your opponent starts with Dormouse, you can, for example, summon your Dormouse and both of them will be banished and negated, so they can't come back. This is a very nice interruption that you could play against Malice. Will definitely be more important when we also get Ryziel, because this is one of the best outs to the Ryziel boss monster. Maybe not for now, but maybe for later. And then we also have, in theory, Chaos Hunter that you can use against Malice. I think that Lancia is way better. So if we want to put something in our deck to counter Malice, to hard counter Malice, which both of them do, I think Lancia is the better option. So yeah, this is what I want to talk about. Malice coming, it is crazy. It will be so strong. Obviously, I will be making videos, we'll be showing you combos, and we will also be live streaming on Friday. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this are. What are you excited for? How do you want to build the deck? Thanks for being here, and we will see each other in the next one.